So I think we are live. Hi everyone. I welcome you all to weekly dev meeting of Meshery. So today is Wednesday and we are back again with this weekly meeting. We will be talking about all the issues, PRs that you all are working on in Meshery repo and all the other associated projects within the community. We will also have some standing agenda items, and we will be going through your work that you are all doing. I will be quickly sharing this meeting minutes in chat so that you all can go take a look at the various links we'll be sharing throughout the call, and also write your name in the attendees list. We will be missing Yash, Sudhanshu, and Anuj from the call, so they sent word about it. But yeah, feel free to write your name in the attendees, and also if you have any issues or PR that you're working on in Meshery repository, whether it's on UI or any of the other component, feel free to add them also in. We are a little short on agenda items, so that would be helpful. And yep, if you have a stable bandwidth, you also can turn on your videos. So it's always nice to talk to, people interactively. Let's start with, following our tradition, and that is, if you are a newcomer to this call, you can give your quick intro. So yeah, take the stage and go ahead.
Um, Myself Ayush Sahu. Actually, I joined previous newcomers meeting. So, do I need to introduce myself here?
Yeah. So if you are specifically joining this call for the very first time, please feel free to give your intro. Ayush, welcome to the call.
Okay, thank you everyone. Actually, I got to know more about Meshery from the previous newcomers meeting, and then I headed to the GitHub repository and I thought of exploring it more. So that's why I'm here on the call. Speaking of my interests, I am a JavaScript developer, and I want to explore cloud also. So that's why CNCF. And speaking of my work experience, I have worked on Google Summer of Code 2024 project with Creative Commons, and it is it was a really good experience. Like I just love open source because of people at Creative Commons, and yeah, like I was very much confused in the start of what to pursue in programming, but open source really helped me. Like people are very supportive, so that's why I'm here. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ayush. Quite an intro. Yeah, very welcome. And if I can ask, have you started working on any of the issues, or are you still looking for the one?
Actually, I have looked for repositories and I have made up my mind to work in mostly Jkyle based front end projects for now, like for the start, because I have worked with Jkyle, but then I'll shift to Gatsby also, and like from today I'll start working. I was
Fine.
looking for issues up till
That,
now. Yeah,
that's just awesome, Ayush. So I'm interrupting to mention a couple of issues that we have in Gatsby. So I'll be following up with you in Slack later. So that's really very good to know. Thanks a lot for your intro, Ayush. And I don't
thank.
think we have any more newcomers on the call. Yep, looks like we don't. So then let's get started with the agenda items first. I'll be once again sharing this meeting minutes in chat so that you can write your name in the attendees, and also mark any agenda item that you've got. We have some of the standing agenda items that are in component updates from like Meshery and also UI migration. And then also they are on release planning. So various testing that we do, and 9.9 milestone, that is a roadmap. Let me take a look if we have component lead for Meshery Matthew on the call, who's also one of the maintainers. Looks like we're
Yeah,
missing Matthew.
Matthew. Yeah, he sent word that he's unable to join. So we'll probably end up. Well, we don't have the other two Meshery CTL maintainers on the call either. I'll message both of them, but I suspect we might need to skip.
All right. Thanks, Lee. Next up, for UI migration, Amit, I wonder if you could share any update or progress so far.
Yeah, I will quickly share. Yeah, about. Uh, for the MUI migration, we are migrating over the component from the Material UI version 4 to Material UI version 5. We are end of having this process of migrating this Material UI component, and majority of these big pages and the component has been done, and the one component is the RJSF component was left that the Sudhanshu created full PR for that, but I tested it with this extension repo, and it it might crash sometimes, and I also give some of the review to Sudhanshu. So uh, I'm waiting for if Sudhanshu will going to finish this, then we will merge and complete this MVM migration process. And apart from it, I checked in the Meshery repo some of the small components that are not listed here, and maybe the sub-component of these major components are still on using some of the material like 4 guidelines, and like not using the style component, using the make style, and some of them they are not completely migrating to the system or the material version file. So some of the small components are still left after having the merge this RJSF component PR. So might be we not able to finish this migration like today, but by the end of the week, like in by the Friday, we can finish this migration into material version 4 to 5 complete. Any question?
Super close.
Yeah, super close.
Yeah, that's a lot of green. And so actually it's one of the red items it's nice to see that there's deprecated functionality and it's finally just being completely removed. Most of you probably don't know, but SMI was, you know what, let's not talk about it. It's an antiquated project. One of the other CNCF projects that Meshery had integrated with, but that project is no more. And so, yeah. On row, oh, I've got it. On the row with RJSF, row 96, there is, I think, Dependabot PR out there to upgrade the version of that library. I think last time that was merged, there ended up being a bug or two. And so I figured I'd just point that out as something to be aware.
I will test those PR with this new version as well. It will not, because we use this component onto the canvas and the playground as well. So I will test in the both environment if there is a bug or not due to this migration. Yeah, that's all the about this migration of the MVI version 5.
Thanks, Amit, for offering your update on this particular standing as an item. Next up, we'll be quickly talking about test plan. And so if you would want to be part of it, head on to this link that I'm sharing in chat. So yeah, if this is one of the area in which you would like to contribute, whether, contributing to Meshery UI end-to-end testing using Playwright or writing unit tests for Meshery CTL, which is command line client for Meshery, take a look at this, spreadsheet and pick up issues that are not yet completed. So, and this is also something, has some portion in 0.9 roadmap. So you might find your name in there too. So once again, you will have to come on to this spreadsheet. Next up, I'll be talking about various open issues that are in need of assignment on 0.9 milestone. So on the last dev call, I remember like Sangram, one of the maintainers, also had made call for volunteers. So if you would like to work or be part of that release, pick off of the open issues that you are comfortable with and would like to help the project. So this link is to in chat. And with that, we are over this sending as in items. We will be now going on to the topics from, many of you who are on the call. I'll be going through the names one by one, and then we'll discuss if you are present. So looks like we're missing Pratik from the call today. So if anyone would like to take a look at the PR, I'll be dropping the link in chat. Feel free to offer your feedback on the PR. For now, we'll be discussing about this particular item from Sanganik. So I'll be taking a look if we have Sagnik on call. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Sagnik, do you mind?
There.
Yeah.
Sure. So I was assigned this item regarding this. I have opened a PR for this. What exactly was the problem regarding this was when we click the connectivity operator or the meshing status chip in the UI. We wanted we wanted the status to show that after the pods are deployed, we wanted the status to show that Meshery operator is pinged or meshing is pinged and publishing to Meshery broker, but the connectivity test was failing. So I have opened a PR regarding that for fixing this errors. I fixed for the meshing status, and the next thing I'm working for the same on the same topic is to fix the Meshery broker also. I hope by this week I'll get this done, and that's all from my side. If possible, I would like somebody, if you could take a look through it. I'll paste the link in the minutes of the meeting, and any reviews are appreciated.
Thank you, Sagnik. So we'll wait for 10 seconds if anyone has any thoughts or feedback for your update. Thanks once again, Sagnik. So looks like next up we have Souvik, and he has a number of updates to share. So Souvik, can you please go next?
I'll go ahead. Yeah.
Hey guys, hey, real quick for Sagnik, the other connections, Meshery broker.
Yeah.
Do you have progress to report there?
I have pinpointed the issue. I'm just fixing the code and testing it from my side. I'll raise a PR in a day or two.
Issue.
Sorry,
Yeah.
did you?
You said you pinpointed the issue. What is the issue?
Okay, yeah, the issue is the same as I have told you in the previous call, that even though the design spec terms, the terms which we have specifically like connected, deployed, and deploying, the meanings of these terms are getting interchanged, and hence the logic which is verifying for this is being wrong. There was wrong usage of the terms, so I had just had to fix the usage, like where there's connected and where there's deployed, so that would like resolve the issue.
Yeah, but those two terms, they mean different things, so they
Yes.
can't. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So if you're using connected to mean deployed,
No,
we-
no, no, I'm not using that. Initially, it was like in the initial code which was written, people were checking for the connected term, but from the backend, they were only returning deployed, which always would fail. And hence, I did a fix for that. So, yeah.
So when does the backend return connected?
When the backend returns connected when the backend returns connected when the pods are deployed and the connection between both of them is established, hence the backend returns connected.
Yeah, sorry, I meant to ask, when does the backend return deployed? Never.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm referring to. If you're
Okay.
you need to give it a holistic view. Like you've eradicated deployed for mesh, I guess, was it Meshery operator or mesh sync? I'm not sure.
Meshing.
Yeah, if that status never returns, then there really isn't such a status, but there really is. There's such a thing as it being deployed, but it's not yet a connection. So
Yeah, I'll look into that. Yes. Thank you, Lee.
Yeah. I'll go ahead. I've been working on a couple of things. First, I would like to show the enhancement of the 11190 error. So to give a contrast, how it used to look previously. Yeah. So if you're up, so if you try to deploy a Kubernetes manifest, you usually you would get hit by an error of this sort, which is pretty vague. So after the changes, this is what the error looks like, which is quite descriptive, along with status code, and the probable cause and remedies are based on the status error returned by the Kubernetes API. And based on that, there are some general remedies that we add, and some based on the reason, we add some like specific targeted remedies. So this is how it looks. I do need to fix this, that here, like there are two times this is appearing. This is something that needs to be fixed. Uh, yeah. So any feedback on this one? So by the way, it handles multiple cases. If I can show. Yeah, so there are two, so there are reasons and causes, and based on that, uh, right, so the reasons are basically they correspond to the status code, and this is where we are trying to provide a general remedy and a probable cause, a general probable cause, and out of the and using the cause details, status cause details, we try to pinpoint the issue and provide specific remedies and specific probable cause. So these are some handled issues, and if a certain issue is not handled, it falls back to a generic message uh, along with the field, so that users still get some idea that there might be some problem with that field. So this is the update with this one. Next, yeah.
And
So this
Salva,
is
quick question, if I could, back on the different specific messages. Those messages, that list that you have, that's generated from Kubernetes API or something else?
these messages.
Yep.
These are not generated. I have written those.
Okay. Well, I guess what I mean to ask is about the case for each of the cases possible. How do we know
Yeah,
that?
Yeah, how do we know?
How do we know that that's an exhaustive list, and how will we know when that list changes based on the Kubernetes project? These errors, okay, they're not in compose convert.go. You have two files open, I guess. These are in utils.go. Okay.
Yeah, I moved this in utility, and there was all the Kubernetes, like it is possible that all the Kubernetes error will be receiving at some point Kubernetes status error on some error. So it's better to handle it in all the relevant functions. So I created a centralized utility that parses all the status error, and I'm using
Good.
that utility inside all
That's
these
great.
errors. So
Actually, so I'm really trying to get to is the case. How do we know that it's an exhaustive list of?
mhm. So these are some general errors that we come across. These correspond to the status code, HTTP status code that was mentioned in the issue. So these are some general status code that we come across. And for this case, these are some field specific cases that I've handled so far. But
So
I'm sure there are a lot more.
yeah, it's just a quick answer I'm looking for. It's like, no, we don't know that it's an exhaustive. This is
Yeah,
just
yeah,
a healthy first crack.
yeah.
But so is it possible for us to follow up with, well, these are provider specific, right? Or these are environment specific. I shouldn't say provider, I mean platform specific.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, at some point, we probably would want these, not necessarily a general utility, but specifically joined to like that platform type or that connection type. And, thinking in context of Meshery's schemas and Meshery's constructs. Well, in addition to this, do we know it's, I don't know, like, I guess it's possible that maybe we would never see some of these cases, or we've seen all of these before. So what I'm what I'm asking is, will you go back to Cube API and see if there is such a list?
Okay, I'll verify that.
Thank you.
So moving on to the next thing I've been working on, it was so we so the mesh so we have a spreadsheet called Meshery integrations, from which periodically a workflow runs and it generates all the models and updates them. But the recent issue has been that the not recent though, but linkered CRDs are not, so linkered models are not being generated. So I dug down and I found out that it was the first problem was the URL, the GitHub URL that was given was was to the templates, and another problem is how we handle the Helm chart. Uh, so right now the logic is it looks for all the CRDs in the CRD folder inside the Helm chart, but over here we can see there is no CRD folder. So the component generated is 0, and since the model has no components, it fails. Uh, so I looked into it, and so one can place CRDs in template use it's loading up, yeah, which allows them to use Helm chart templates like these. Uh, so went ahead and fixed so right now the fix is uh, in the Helm chart directory, we recursively go through all the files, all the YAML file, and check for the kind uh, for Kubernetes resource definition. But this leads to another error: is these templates? These are not YAML specific, so there's some parsing error happening. So that's a blocker at the moment. So that's something I would like to discuss, if now or if later.
Yep,
How
we
yeah,
absolutely need to be able to parse them. And these are customized templating, I'm assuming.
yeah.
If not, then it's Helm chart templating, and yep, the project needs to support them. That's probably about as far as we can discuss right now, concisely.
Mhm.
And I don't
Yeah,
know that there's much more than that. It's like, yep, we need
yeah,
to be able to digest what a custom resource is, and like to start with, to ignore those and just leave the values as blank. Ideally, if there are default values provided from a chart, which there often are, then you would use those default values and insert them.
right. Also, they are using partials. So since we are linking to this specific directory, and partials are like totally in a different directory, that's also another issue.
Yeah.
So it's a like we can discuss that.
The implementation of models and how they're generated here needs to be, we need to
Yeah.
get a copy of the chart itself, the entire chart, and then have that locally to be able to go through the whole chart, not just individual YAML files. And
Yeah.
yeah, the Meshery as a project needs to be able to support customize.
So, like currently we are using Helm, the package that we are using, it takes up the whole directory. Just uh, like I'm not able to pinpoint on what the reason is, but here there are dependencies, and the library is supposed to parse the dependencies, but it's not able to. So I have to like dig down there. So, yeah.
Yeah, something to be aware of, and this is for Ria as well, as she familiarizes with this area, is
Uh, I did not work on this area, so I'm not like very familiar with it.
yep, I got you. I'm trying to get you familiarized. Yep, as you start to familiarize,
Yeah.
because the Meshery CTL command that you worked on, it was with the registry, or is it
Yes.
with Mo? Okay, so this is that. This is all very related.
Okay.
The Yeah, it's both Helm client that we need to be able to use and parse these charts. It's as well as like the customize. We need to be able to recognize when customize is involved. One of the caveats as to how it is that either Meshery CTL or Meshery server like imports a model and generates components is like it depends on how the model is or how the chart or Kubernetes manifests, how these custom resource definitions are presented to it. If it's only an HTTP URL, or like inside of Meshery CTL, we have not necessarily always cloned the repo. So if Meshery CTL is given a URL to a repo to go find a chart and then but without such a clone, it becomes difficult to recurse the directories or to move into a different directory. And
Right.
so there might be some caveats there to be just to be aware of. The same goes for when Meshery CTL goes to pull a Helm chart from a Helm repo. That one's probably a little bit easier so long as the Helm chart is just a single tar GZ. You can pull that file, unzip it, and then have all that content locally.
I think when we are using the Git protocol URL like we have here, when it's not HTTPS, then we are like cloning the whole repo, I think. Just that in HTTP we are not.
Just that in where we're not?
In like when if I replace this with HTTPS, so then it's a different logic. But in this case, it uses Git client to clone the repo.
Thank you, Savik. So do you have any other items as well to share?
I think that was, yeah. So the migration I didn't get chance for this. One of the PR got merged, which was previously, but it has some. There are some follow-ups to that PR. So it's already here there. I need to test it locally. So I'll do that and create a PR for that. That's all for my updates.
Thank you, Savik. So next up will be these two quick updates from me. So I'll be first like sharing these two in chat box. So Savik was just showing us a spreadsheet, Meshery integrations spreadsheet, and also he was talking about one of the nightly workflow that basically uses Meshery CTL to publish models to various systems that we have. And on the last dev call, I shared how now we are also sharing models to this Meshery IO catalog. So it was causing some of the performance issue, as if when you load the page, it was going unresponsive and there were some issues. So to fix that, I needed to make some changes to Meshery CTL. So these PRs are on that only, like changing the parts where they are output, and also some other like configurations to the models data that we have. And yeah, like right now regarding the way you navigated the catalog, it has changed. So we will now be having a single page for all the models and other types too that you can navigate through using these filters. And so there very soon there will be other data too on these individual pages on models, but for now this would be the update. I also updated some of the build failures that we were having in Meshery site during the build. So that would be all about the update. So it looks like we're missing
Yeah, so
Venkata.
Vivek, is that the last of, are we officially done with supporting models inside of the Meshery IO catalog?
Yep, there's just one functionality that we would, it would be good if we have that, if you have it, and that would be, ability to download this model. If there would be a link that will just download it, and we will need to write that into Meshery file system. So the one of the proposals that I was referring to yesterday in the call was when we are writing all those models to Meshery, we will be having access to Meshery file system in the runner in the GitHub. So and the way we build OCI images that are downloaded for each model, they simply use this directory. So can I just utilize this, since I will be able to access this directory, can we just, use this to build OCI image or not, if there will be any other, approaches? Because the way right now it's done is using the API that Meshery server provides. But yeah, this is something that, it would be helpful if other folks also have some thoughts or sites. But yeah, so this is only one thing that is left. Other than that, we are good. Just some front-end work.
Anybody have suggestions or thoughts about that final step?
I'll be also sharing that workflow file so that we can take a look at it.
Yeah, okay. Here, since we have the time, but this is probably a good topic to dig into just a little bit. So every night, okay, so for everyone's understanding, there's a Google spreadsheet that contains a long list of all of Meshery's models. Meshery's models, they're just small packages that have a bunch of different components and maybe different relationships that are defined about those components. And so each model just characterizes how it is that Meshery orchestrates or configures or administers, manages whatever infrastructure the model describes. These models are, like I said, they're packages. They're just they can be powered up or zipped up, and when they are, they can be made into an OCI image, so a Docker container or a container, and they can be. And this is functionality that Meshery has already. And so you can take these models, the way that you describe AWS API Gateway, that's a model that Meshery has, and it has X number of components and X number of relationships and X number of connections defined and credentials defined, and maybe some telemetry defined. So these models are versioned because they get enhanced over time. The way to make them portable, as a project, Meshery has formats them as an OCI image as you go to import a model into a running Meshery server, or take a model that is already registered, it's already inside of a running Meshery server, and export it. It would export as a tar file, an OCI image. Every night, Meshery as a project goes to that centralized spreadsheet, reads through the whole thing, and it attempts to generate, it refreshes all of these models. It attempts to generate all the components for all the models. It looks to see if there are any new models that it doesn't yet have components for, or if there's a new version of an existing model, and it refreshes. So that's how Meshery is able to keep pace with the 300 or something different integrations that it has. It's all programmatically done. And as Meshery, there's a workflow that kicks off every day, and we can kick it off at any point, like right now, kick it off. It takes a little while to run. What it really runs, and I think this is the workflow that we're probably looking at. I'm speaking of right now. This is part of it anyway. What we really run is just Meshery CTL. Just use the Meshery command line to go out, read from the spreadsheet, and start creating these models. When it does, it just writes out the definition of these models and all those components to file system. And if you're running Meshery, and it does so in a Meshery repo friendly way. So it basically just writes out all the models that you can find under the server folder. It is here that, okay, so when it runs, right now it's just writing out individual files. So for the AWS API Gateway model, maybe there are 5 components. So when you open up the folder that describes the AWS API Gateway model, you might find 5 or 7 or so different files. This is an example of like the GitHub Actions Runner model. This model is for GitHub Actions. There's a folder for the model. There's a version for the model. There's a version for both the model as we have as a project have defined it, and that's version 1.0. There's a version for the model as GitHub has defined it. GitHub publishes their Actions Runner controller in a Kubernetes-friendly way. We've acknowledged that, and we've bundled that up as a project and make it available for people to configure their pipelines, configure their workflows. There's a little bit of sort of inception happening in this discussion that we're having right here. Somewhat cyclical in the references that are being used. But so there's one file called model.json. That's a model definition. And it just describes the fact that there is a model called Actions Runner Controller. And it has these properties. It has a colored icon and a white icon, an SVG. And here's different information about the model. Maybe it has 5 components or whatever. It was last updated. At this point, it was registered by Artifact Hub in this case. That's where we retrieve the information about these components from Artifact Hub. Anyway, so that's one file. It's the model definition. It just says this is the model and here's the information about the model. There's another folder inside there with X number of components. So one component definition, one file for each individual custom resource definition that GitHub published in this Actions Runner controller. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. So there are like 6 files here. There's a colored SVG and a white SVG that they're just embedded into the model JSON. As a matter of fact, each of these components can have their own component specific icon, because you might want to represent a runner as like somebody jogging, just for fun, in case that represents a GitHub action very well. Anyway, but you can extrapolate those SVGs and put them into their own file. Anyway, the point of what I'm saying is this is what a model looks like when you write it out to file system. If I made an update and changed the color of the components in this model and wanted to share that with someone else, I could send them, 8 different files, or I could zip it up and send them one file. And that's basically what we do when we exchange a model as an OCI image. We're basically just exporting it as an OCI image, like exporting it as a zipped up file or a zipped up file. So of what Vivek was alluding to, he was saying like, so people can come to the repo and browse through the folders to see what models are available. But as a project, we've made it easier for people to see what integrations are available, what models are available by going to a couple different locations, actually. One of them is meshery.io/catalog. So now you can see, you can browse a catalog of these same models. So the Actions Runner is in here as well. If you want to download it from here, or maybe import from here into your running Meshery server, well, it'd be real convenient if your running Meshery server didn't have this AWS API Gateway operator. You wanted it to. You found it in the catalog. You said, well, hey, let me grab a link to that, and I will use that link to import the model. And Meshery has that functionality. There's no link here, though. And so that's what Vivek is saying is like, as a next step, we could enhance the workflow that we were just looking at to not only write out the model and the components as individual files, but also to take a next step and generate an OCI image of the same content, those same 8 files. And Meshery CTL would be the tool to use to do that. Meshery CTL might need to be enhanced to do that. So this is in part, so Ria and Salvik, the two of you are probably the ones on, at least on this call, who've been kind of looking in that general area. So in this case, in order to assess whether or not Meshery CTL already supports this functionality, it's the Meshery CTL model command that you'd want to familiarize with and understand as you import and export a model, or as you does it have the ability to take a local folder structure, zip it up into an OCI image, or not? It's between the Meshery CTL model command and the Meshery CTL registry command. Those two commands are sort of go hand in hand. And it's those two that you'd want to analyze and assess and familiarize with to then be able to come back to Vivek and say, hey, yeah, we've already got a command to zip up this folder into an OCI image, or we don't, we need to put in a little bit of work. There might be a missing link, just if I recollect correctly. Certainly the project already
to further that, I was trying to open Playground, where you actually can do this right now in registry right now. So if you click on a model and if you want to export it, you just can hit a button that will, export that OCI friendly formatted model. So this is something that's already there, and we would like to have the same for written to the disk on Meshery.io. Yeah, please go continue.
That's it. I just, this is a Ria or Salvik, if you have questions or comments, it's helpful to everyone else if you ask them. If you
So Amit has also shared a link in the chat that you can open to, download and take a look.
Yeah, I think that the reason that we covered this topic for a few different reasons. One is it's very critical to the project itself. It's very central to it. Another one is because some of you are either fresh to the project or just fresh on this area. And so good, everybody, these are, I don't know, this component here, the registry is, I'm not sure what part, it's not the heart of Meshery. It's not the brains of Meshery. I don't know, it's the instruction manual. It's without these models loaded up, Meshery has a limited understanding of how to orchestrate infrastructure. And by the way, these don't have to describe infrastructure. We're just focused on that as a project. These models and these components can describe many different things. This might look like a bug to some of you. And there might be a better UX here, but it's not actually a bug. There really are many duplicate of these components registered. That's intentional. Sometime later, we'll talk about why that's intentional, why what this control is about. Anyway, the point is, I think there's a missing link where Meshery server will allow you to import models as an OCI image. And in special cases, it'll allow you to import a model as only with Meshery CTL will it allow you to import a folder. Like you point to your file path where you've got your model and each of your JSON, each of your YAMLs, each of your but to get an OCI image, you first have to import into Meshery server, and when you export, it'll give you an OCI image. So we probably have a missing link there. I don't know that Meshery CTL has that intermediary step where it will produce an OCI image for you. So good, cool. Comments? Thoughts, questions? At some point, we should have a session on how to create your own custom models, your own custom components. And as a matter of fact, that's the workshop that we had this last KubeCon, was taking people through what that's like. All right, well, good. Well, yeah, so I guess you can't force people to have comments or questions, so we'll just move on. All right.
Lee, I wanted to ask that you showed where do we want that export option? I just missed that.
Yeah. Okay. Let me bring up a terminal. Um, I'll do best. So Meshery server has a REST API. That REST, oops, there's my Docker desktop in case anybody wants to see that. I just shared the wrong screen. Anyway, I was just on a Docker captain's meeting. They're doing some interesting stuff with AI. And maybe we're Layer 5 is a partner with Docker, so maybe we'll do a blog post and some things that we've got going. All right. Did we have any other topics that we need to hit before we? This is a great topic that we're on. It's worthy of spending the rest of the meeting, but just want to make sure that we're. Actually, Ria, maybe
Yeah, I just have very small updates. It's nothing major.
Sudhanshu's not here. And Amit, this fix is confirmed in the latest release, the 8.20, I think.
The first issue was the mentioned in the latest release, but the second one was not released. Like in the preferences page, that was crashed. Yeah, I fixed that issue, but we didn't make the release happen.
And then for him, we should cover your topic before we talk more about models.
It's not much, just that basic PR that you told that the pay tables were not responsive. So I just made it responsive. That's it. If you want, I can share the screen once.
Yeah, very good. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, very good. So if anyone has ever looked at the error codes reference guide, currently it doesn't, it's difficult to read, and all of the error codes and what they mean and how to fix them are not well formatted, specifically not well formatted for a small mobile interface. So Fahim is improving that. Fahim, there's some space here that you might be able to reclaim.
Yeah, I'll fix that also.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. We're gonna try to further understand how it is that models work and how to deal with them. I was gonna say that Meshery has two clients of its REST API. This one, Meshery UI, and this one, Meshery CTL. Meshery CTL has a slight advantage over Meshery UI in terms of its ability to connect to your file system and iterate over a directory of files. It is the one that we end up, it's more powerful than this client in some respects. And yeah, in other respects, you really only would want to navigate what's in the registry visually. You can navigate what's in the registry over here, but it's quite burdensome. I'm probably not pointed to a running Meshery server. So this, by the way, is a good example of like a terrible UX. Some gibberish nonsense about something, connection refused. Okay. As a user, I don't know what that means. We are plagued by this in all of the Meshery CTL commands. There's just a very standard, simple response. Meshery server unavailable. Verify that there's a Meshery server, check your context to make sure that the one that you're pointed to is running. So look, here. So Ria, the question that you were asking is like, hey, if we do want to enhance Meshery CTL to be able to help create an OCI image as a format of our model, where might we do that? Or so what might that look like? So if we go to this model command, has a few sub commands, import, export, import, just in case you wanted to do it twice. Looks like a bug to me. Anyway, export, import, list, search, view. Okay. This is nice. So if you're running Meshery CTL, you're pointing it to a Meshery server that has a registry full of models. You can list them out. You can maybe search for a specifically named one. Great. And once you find it, you can choose to view the details of that specific model. Nice. So it's these two commands are much more interesting for us understanding how to get an OCI formatted copy of a model. We were looking at Meshery UI a moment ago, and as we click to export any of these, it was conveniently dropping down an OCI image, just a tar file that when opened up, I know this is kind of small on the screen, there's not a lot I could do. There's a tar file, so you open it up, gives you a folder. It gives you two files that are specific to OCI as a format. One of them is just a SHA, helping you verify the integrity of the package itself, of the tar file. Great, okay. The other one is a manifest, a JSON file that just has a manifest of the various image layers, like basically a manifest of the contents of this tar file. The contents of this OCI image contain, one of the things that it contains is another zip file, like two tar files. The top level one was the OCI specification, zipping up what is a compressed, another zip file. Okay. Anyway, that's the manifest, not a big deal. Neither of those two files really, that just helps us be OCI compliant, and that's how OCI registries can recognize the container image. If we then open up this second tar file, well, here's our model, the version of a whatever app mesh controller. AWS has a service called app mesh. The version of that service that Meshery understands is the 1.13 version. The model, as we support it over time, we might version it and enhance it, change its colors, add some different functionality, change its capabilities. So we would version that here. For the most part, this is super confusing. We need to version the heck out of everything that we're doing so that Meshery can be highly intelligent and very specific and very granular with how it is that it allows you to define and configure your infrastructure and make sure that things stay in sync. But the way that the folder structure is laid out is a little bit confusing. It's not necessarily evident which is which. But anyway, the point is, oh great, this particular model, app mesh controller, there's a file called model. It has the same details that we looked at a moment ago. It has 8 or whatever different individual components. These are the same components, by the way, that you can drag and drop in Canvas onto a design. There's a component called backend group. So we look at the details of it. when we look here, here's just a copy of the same JSON file that we're looking at over here. Backend group, yay. And the JSON inside of here is just the same JSON that's right here. Okay, great. We've just created an interface that for people to navigate Meshery's registry and look for things that they need to find. And when you go to import in this UI, or when you go to import using the client, these two clients, the command line client or the web-based client, they mirror each other largely because they're using the same REST API from Meshery server. Meshery server sitting there running, saying, I've got these APIs to offer you. And the clients, you end up having a relatively similar experience because they're sort of bounded by the capability of Meshery server's REST API. The experiences are slightly different because you can do different things on the terminal than you can do here. So here in Meshery, in the web-based interface, Meshery UI, if you want to import a model, says, well, great, hey, give me your single file, give me your OCI image, and I will import that. And so in concept, we should be able to turn around and re-import what we just exported. It looks successful. It says that there are 7 components. I'll open it up. We get a specific message about this. Oh, we got backend group. It's at that version. Okay. Now, it doesn't say anything about relationships. What? Okay, fine. There weren't any relationships. All right, fine. It'd be nice if it gave us like positive confirmation that, and there were 0 relationships. That would be nice. So that this, so if there's an enhancement request for anyone that might be able to pick that up. The UI, when you go to import, notice this import method, it says, give me your OCI image locally, or give me your OCI image as a URL. Well, that's it. I'm not taking a bunch of different files and all that. This client is only allowing you to give it an OCI image. Okay. So if you had customized the model and maybe changed the color or something or messed with those JSON definitions, and you made those changes here locally, well, you want to bundle that up into a tar file, an OCI image. It's just a tar file. And then that way it's ready to import. Otherwise, you really can't use this interface, directly like that. You've got to get it in that format. So we're at the top of the hour, but I'm hoping that the explanation that I've given allows you to continue through that mode of discovery where you're like, okay, I get what these these commands are. Let me explore the available behaviors here. Lee was saying this one, at least this client is a little more powerful from the import perspective because it doesn't just allow an OCI image to be imported. It allows a full path, a path to a bunch of different files. Oh, that's nice, in case you didn't have them zipped up. Okay. Otherwise, they kind of have fairly similar, this is the special part of this client. Okay, but so if I've made some changes and I have my model unbundled, and now I'd like to get them zipped up so that maybe I can present them on a catalog. If I could spell Meshery. So that I can present them out here and allow people to click to download the OCI image for this. Well, like there's this missing link, like I can like I need for Meshery, there might need to be a new subcommand called bundle, or potentially a new verb for the step sort of in between. Like,
The build bundle.
Yeah, kind of like build, like in sort of like in Docker terms, it would be like Docker build. Take my local directory of things, use my local Docker file, and build all that into an image. And for us, it's sort of like take my local directory of all my model information here, and I want you to. So, I mean that might be a decent verb. In general, for Meshery CTL, we like to try to make things intuitive if we can, and modeling after kubectl and Docker, those two CLIs, we expect most of our users to be fairly familiar with those CLIs, and they'd sort of have a sense of what build might mean. So, and we are building an OCI image. We are building a container image. It is a container image. You can take these models, grab that OCI image we were just working with. You can go check this into Docker Hub right now. That's great. You don't have to use this catalog. So this catalog, if under the covers that we're running an OCI compliant registry, that'd be great because you could just Meshery CTL model push at mesh controller dot tar to this catalog. This would be a Docker hub, a model hub. Okay. Bill, one of the other topics that we should let's catch up a bit and make sure that you're positioned for success. That ideally you'll take, if you're going to sign up to try to champion a large feature area, we're going to want to get you onto some super small things to start with, so that your comfort and confidence levels both grow. And there's a couple of other things.
The first thing that I wanted to take up was like being able to connect a Prometheus instance with the Meshery running server. But basically, my team and us, we have blew up a cluster with H100 NVIDIA GPUs. So last like Sunday and then Monday, Tuesday have been very hectic. So I'll be working on it. Do feel really bad that I don't have much to share on that front today. But yeah, I'll most likely have stuff to share by maybe tomorrow. I'll be checking it on Slack. Like I'll put all my updates on the Slack, and then maybe I'll have something for you to look at by Friday or something like that.
It'd be good. There'll need to be a design spec with respect to things that we would do inside of Meshery.9.
Yeah. I really wanted to ask you, like, where should I start for that? Because I really want to look at a few proposals before I write mine. So
Sure. Yeah.
where should I look for some?
Yeah.
I went
Good,
to the
great.
post, but there were comments about like people showing interest in doing things, but I didn't see any formal proposals.
Yeah. Here it is. The answer is, for all of you that are here, if you've filled in a community member form, when you visit drive.google.com, you should find, under your shared drives, you should find one called Layer 5 Community. And in there, you'll find assets and different projects, and Meshery is one of them. And you'll find a bunch of different design specs. Many across. You'll also find instructions for how to create your own design spec. So creating a functional specification. So I'll share this in Slack, and depending upon what project you're working on, yeah.
Okay, so we check it out in we keep it in docs, right? We have a repository of proposals, like a kind of a separate directory in Meshery just for proposals?
Nope.
Okay, cool.
They're in Google Docs. The repository is the shared drive.
Okay.
You can.
Yeah.
Not that anyone's vehemently opposed to doing it in I mean,
Okay.
not that that's not, but
Call it fatigue of working with more traditional open source projects where like a proposal is expected to be a pull request that the maintainers decide to merge
yeah,
or
it's
not
fine.
to merge.
Yeah, it's fine, dude. I'd use your words carefully with like what's traditional and what's the common way and stuff like it. There are hundreds of thousands of open source projects that do it all the ways. Yeah.
My bad. Yep. That's it.
Well, good. Hey, we're over time.
Yeah. So I'll just quickly share a couple of things. So there's this link about how to create a design spec in this our community forum too. So you can check that out as well, Kapil, and anyone who's interested.
Okay.
I thank you all for joining and attending the call, sharing your updates. The meeting minutes will be available very soon, so you can catch up with recording of this session and also all the updates that you gave. Before we end the call, I would like to share this meeting minute, meeting link to all of our calls that happen around the week, and we'll be having one tomorrow for newcomers specifically. So calendar's link is in chat. You can subscribe to it to get all the updates. With that, I would see you all, tomorrow if you join or on the next Wednesday. Till then, bye.
Guys, see ya.